the key to how I had that true aha moment was finding a way of moving that really felt this good for me. And that's why I'm just such an advocate for whatever kind of movement, but finding a way for you to move that feels truly fun and inspiring and something that you look forward to, because that is a game changer.
Welcome to the Health Accomplice podcast. I'm your host, Alex, a functional nutrition guide and health enthusiast. As the Health Accomplice, I recognize our individuality and I honor your uniqueness. My mission is to help bridge the gap between all the credible information that's out there, and there's a lot, on diet, healthy lifestyle, and overall wellness, and your individuality. There is nobody like you. Let's work together to explore that as it relates to health and well-being and find out what works for each one of us so we can all live our happiest and healthiest lives. I'll be interviewing experts on topics like sleep, meditation, fasting, specific diets, psychology, and more. I'll always aim to make these topics as fun and interesting as possible so we can learn practical tips on how to apply these concepts in our everyday lives. So welcome to the podcast. I am so happy you're here. Hi guys, I cannot believe it's already December. 2020 has been a wild ride. But it's also the year that I started this podcast, so I'm just super excited to be sharing all of this with you. So thank you for listening. Today I have a very special guest, Megan Roup. If you don't know who she is one of the most popular fitness instructor, fitness influencers out there right now. She is a trainer for all the Victoria's Secret models. She works with Sophia Richie, and you might have seen her if you follow Something Navy, Arielle Charnas. She is Arielle's fitness instructor. Her and Brandon always do those fun dance moves. Well, Megan is the girl that teaches them those dance moves. I actually met Megan. This is so funny. This is a really funny story. RIP Uber pools. They don't exist anymore, but I live in New York and I used to take Uber pools everywhere. I didn't mind it. I thought they were really fun for meeting people. And case in point, that's how I met Megan Roup. We were both attending, I was attending Pop Sugar Playground, the event, and Megan was actually teaching at the playground, and we were both leaving at the same time, and we happened to be assigned to the same Uber, and we spent a lovely half hour getting to know each other in our Uber pool. Ever since then, I've just been following Megan. I've taken her classes in person here in New York when we used to have that luxury, and now take them on her app, the Sculpt Society, which is an incredible workout. So this conversation was really about, diving deeper into some topics like following your passion and living your authentic self, and also exercise addiction. I think that's a real thing. People are addicted to working out, and we talk a little bit about that. We talk a lot about negative self-talk and just loving your own body, loving yourself, because you can't heal a body you don't love, and the secret sauce of fitness and what that is, and just generally celebrating yourself. Megan's classes are such a celebration while getting a workout, so it just seems really apropos to talk about just celebrating your body and celebrating yourself. I really loved our conversation. I hope you enjoy it too. Megan was sweet enough to give all of the Health Accomplice listeners a discount on the Sculpt Society. So if you use code HA25, you'll get 25% off. And I will also post that on healthaccomplice.com, as well as all of the resources we discussed in today's show. So check out healthaccomplice.com for that. And yeah, let's get started. Hi, it's so good to talk to you.
Oh, I feel like the last time I saw you was when we had coffee at that matcha place.
That was February this year. It's just been like 10 years in one.
No.
Thanks again for doing this, by the way.
Of course. I'm so happy to do it.
I love listening to your podcast, and I'm going to guide everyone who's listening to this to listen to the podcast with you that Lo Bosworth did and Kelly LeVeque. Those were like my two favorite episodes. You gave a lot of backstory, and
Kat Sadler too, right? I think that was the one I kind of deepest with. Yeah.
Whoever's listening to this can, if they want the full backstory, they can check out the Kat Sadler, Kelly LeVeque, and Lo Bosworth ones. But I just there was some like things that I wanted to, after listening to you on those podcasts, there was things that I wanted to dive deeper into. And one of those things is kind of related to what I'm going through. And I feel like a lot of people are going through in 2020 is just like aligning to your authentic self and being true to yourself. And, you know, we've kind of been forced into it where it's like, you know, some people unfortunately have lost jobs or have been thinking about like what to do following their passion. And I know that, you know, you spoke a lot about, you know, you got really vulnerable talking about the time that you gave up dance because you were super passionate about dance when you were younger. And then when you went to Cal Poly, you were like, well, I don't know if I can really do this, so let me do something else. And that sort of coincided with you becoming obsessed with your body and what you were eating. And I think a lot of times, I know for me, this is true when I'm not aligned to like my true self, when I'm holding myself back, when I'm not like stating my true opinion and my needs and my wants, I'll like look to something else, like food. So I just wanted you to talk through that process a little bit more, like, and also talk about the support system you had to, because I think that's super important. But what was it like going to Cal Poly? What was like that thought process of, I'm not going to do dance? And then what was your aha moment where you're like, no, I need to do this?
Yeah. Gosh. And it wasn't clear to me, you know, in the beginning when I'd chosen to do, you know, more of a traditional educational route with my college experience, I really thought that was like the right decision. I really was like, okay, this is my path. I'm supposed to be having this traditional, like all American campus life experience. And so I really went into it like I was done with dance, and I would take classes on the side, and it wouldn't be a big deal. And it probably didn't hit me until maybe like 2 months into my first semester where and again, I didn't realize it was because I was unhappy because I wasn't dancing. I just started to distract myself by micromanaging what I was eating and going to the gym obsessively and just staying on a cardio machine for like an hour and a half and thinking that's what I needed to do. And it all just became a distraction, right? I can see that now, but at the time it didn't feel like that. So I was obsessively writing down everything I was putting into my mouth and the calories and how many calories I was burning on that machine, you know, at the gym. And then, then the weekly weigh-ins. And again, just a little bit of backstory for anyone who's tuning in. Like this wasn't an issue I'd ever had before. So although I had danced my whole life, I had always had a really healthy relationship with food and my body image. So this kind of came out of nowhere for me, and but also felt very overwhelming and all-consuming. And so it was unfortunately months of this, really, of yo-yo dieting, you know, being very calorically restrictive, and then days of just complete binging where I would eat. And I'm not talking about eating a bag of chips. I'm talking about eating past the point of comfort, eating to fill. And for me, that was the filling of what it was that I didn't realize, which was the sadness that I wasn't dancing and I wasn't really pursuing and listening to myself and really tuning into the things that I wanted to be doing, really looking for answers outside of myself, which is what I thought I was meant to be doing, which was just, having this traditional college experience. And so, it just kind of spiraled. It just kept on getting worse. And again, it would be like weeks of restrictive calorie counting and over exercising, and then a week of binging and the shame that then came with the binge afterwards. And then of course, just, I think because of months of this, really developing a terrible relationship with food and my body, and specifically food, not looking at food like I used to look at food, looking at it as all food was the enemy, and that how could I manage that? Whereas before, that those thoughts had never really entered my mind. I ate when I was hungry and I stopped when I was full. And now, all food was the enemy. And unfortunately, when it comes to food and something like this, when you are obsessive around food, it's around all the time, right? You eat 3 meals a day, and there's a social aspect to it. And, so again, that all-consuming feeling. And so to be honest, I just got to a point, sadly, I had reached out. I knew that was an unhealthy behavior, probably in my second semester at school. I had, small attempts to reach out for help. I remember emailing a professor who I was taking a nutrition class, of course, in my second semester, because I thought it would give me like a magic pill to be thinner in some way. And, just the things that we do to, to think that we're going to like learn something. And I remember reaching out to her, and her response wasn't very helpful. Small attempts. I'm not sure why my family didn't pick up on some of my behavior.
Were you around people who were doing the same thing? I know for me, I mean, when I had disordered eating in college too, and an unhealthy relationship with food. And I was around people who were doing the same thing. So it kind of made it easier. Like we were all doing it.
I had one friend, that's funny. Yeah, I did have one friend that we would go on like little binges together, like go out and binge food. Yeah. And we would, that's interesting. I've never talked about that before.
Easier to think like this is okay because something
normal behavior,
fueled by just like your environment and the people around you. But imagine if we were surrounded by people who are like just had a healthy relationship with food, and we could see that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just got to a point where I kind of hit rock bottom and just realized that this behavior wasn't normal. And I was honestly really sick of it. I was sick of the amount of energy and time I was going into thinking about food in my body, which was about every second of the day. And I knew it wasn't normal. And I went home right as the last semester was ending at Cal Poly. And I told my mom, I'm unhappy. I think I need to go see someone, because I don't want this to get worse and have a full blown eating disorder. I knew that's where, if I kept on this track, that's where it was headed. And so, still at this point, the idea of dancing professionally had not entered my mind. The fact that I was like missing dance or wanted to go back to dance. It was just, I need help. Like, please help me.
But it was so self-aware of you to raise your hand and like call that out and say, I need help. I feel like that's big. Where do you think that came from?
I'm a pretty positive person, and I think this was just such a negative, dark place I had entered.
Totally.
That I knew I didn't want to stay there. And so there was a part of me that knew that this wasn't the true Megan, and this wasn't the true life experience I was supposed to be having. So I mean, that definitely was self-aware for 19. I'm not sure where that came from.
Yeah. I mean, just like you said, I think it was so misaligned with like your natural state.
Yeah. And so, I went and I saw a therapist. I really only honestly, I can't even remember. I think maybe 2 or 3 sessions with her. And she cracked it like within the first session. She said to me, she asks me, we sit down, I'm crying most of the session. And she really just opened my eyes to the fact that it truly wasn't about food. And that the minute she had found out that I had been a dancer, but at a certain kind of level of dance, I had, done professional work and professional summer programs. And she kind of was like, wait a second, let's back up here. And she really just opened my eyes to the fact that, that this had really been a way for me to distract myself from what it was I was truly yearning to do, and to really take a pause and to think about that. And so, she really changed my life in the sense of the direction of my life, because after those 2 sessions, she kind of was like, I don't think you don't have an eating disorder. You need to basically follow your passion and your alignment. And so shortly after that, I went home and told my parents that, I had this aha moment in the session, and I did want to pursue dance, and I wanted to give it a shot. I will say it should definitely not have been my last session. I had adopted these negative behaviors around food, and my internal dialogue was certainly not in a good place. And just because I started to dance again, it did not mean that I was suddenly cured and back to my normal self. It took years and years and years of, a lot of work on my part to get to a place where I was in a really positive alignment in my internal dialogue and my relationship with food. And I really believe if I'd actually stayed in therapy and worked on that while I was pursuing dance in New York, I would have reached this place of this healthy relationship much, much quicker.
Yeah, I think that therapy is, something that lately has been people have been more open to it. I feel like in the past, people think like, oh, it's something people do if they're like broken. But in fact, I think everybody could benefit from therapy. There's not one person that doesn't.
Oh no, I was literally, I've been thinking lately, I need to find a therapist, more just because I agree with you. I think you don't need to be going through something traumatic. I think most people just need to talk to someone, whether it be about your career or your life or whatever is happening, just an outside perspective to get to know yourself better and your behavior patterns around certain things.
Yeah, it's so helpful because it's an objective outsider. Because when you're in it, it's so hard to see certain patterns or see certain things. But if you're going to talk to somebody about, like you said, your career, or whether it's deciding whether I should move or not, for example, or like just talking about this year. I mean, everyone should go to therapy after going through 2020.
I know. So, and I also want to point out too, like, I think us as humans, it doesn't, if you're listening and can't relate to this food obsession or body image obsession, this could be anything, right? This could be alcohol or sex or shopping. Like, we all do things to distract ourselves, to fill ourselves up in order to not actually deal with pain and what we're going through, even to the smallest things of boredom, So I think really what I've been through can be, you can relate that to a lot of different experiences.
So I listened to this podcast once and this kind of stuck with me. This doctor said, nothing is addictive and everything is addictive because it's whatever you choose to make your addiction in order to numb or escape sitting with yourself and feeling your feelings. So,
it can even be like watching TV and just zoning out for 5 hours so that you don't have to deal with, right? Like zone out and numb out to a binge watch of whatever show it is for 5 hours, right? Like that's sort of a behavior that allows you to do that.
I feel like for me personally, at the very beginning of this pandemic, I was definitely escaping through just binge watching shows. And then I finally was like, I'm going to use this moment and this time to actually just sit and self-reflect, do a lot of journaling, meditation. Can we actually talk about that? What are some of your like mental health practices? Do you meditate? And if so, what do you do? How do you do it?
I mean, it's something I'm constantly working on. I am a work in progress in all things. So, I know for me, the days I meditate are better days for me. It is something I'm striving to be more consistent with, but it's such a vital practice and something I feel so strongly about that it's, I've even incorporated it on the Sculpt Society app. So I have two teachers, Amira Amar and Kelsey Patel, who are amazing. There's just short guided meditations. For me, anything over like 13 minutes feels overwhelming. So I like to choose one of their meditations, which are all short. I generally do better with a guided meditation. And it could be whatever I'm feeling, whether it's I'm in need of a gratitude practice or, a body positivity meditation. I kind of pick within there what they have recorded. And I've listened to some a million times. I actually like the repetition of it. And I'll just sit, in my apartment and breathe and connect with my breath. That really grounds me. Movement, of course, I always call it my moving meditation. Movement is so important to me. And really why there's something about dance too, for me. I actually don't know how to describe it, but when I'm moving to the beat of the music, I really I'm not in my head, I'm in my body, and it just is the most amazing feeling. So that's a big practice for me. I think during COVID, getting outside has been huge because we're used to, as New Yorkers, running around like crazy all day. And now we're suddenly in our apartments all day and not leaving. And so really just making time to get outside and be in nature. And as I say this, I haven't left my apartment in about a week, but it's tough in the winter time because, it's getting dark here at like 4 p.m. and then it's also cold. And so by the time I finish work, I look up from my computer at 6 p.m. and I'm like, I'm not sure I can get outside today. But no, it's something I really need to work on because I know it is a massive difference in my mental health. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I do. I think simple things, where, again, like I said, I'm a work in progress. I constantly have like old stories arise and negative self-talk that happens. And I think the difference is just how much quicker I can turn that conversation around now. Whereas in the past, I would sit in that negative, shameful self-talk or those shameful stories. And now I can really identify them and talk back to them and change the conversation. And, that unfortunately is something that's a constant work. So I think a lot of people think I'm just this super like smiley, positive person, and I never have any. It's like you've like recovered from this negative self-talk, and it's really important for me to say like this is an ongoing thing for everyone, and we all have to just be really in tune with what we're talking about to ourselves, especially the stories we're telling ourselves and the stories we're believing. The minute I was able to really change that conversation and the stories I believed in, was a huge turning point for me, in just my overall energy.
Could we talk a little bit more about that? Like dive into like what exactly that means? Because so I used to do this all the time where I thought it was just kind of funny to be self-deprecating. Like, oh yeah, I am, a little like, I have a big butt or like whatever it was that I was like just in my head and even out loud. I didn't realize that I was saying this out loud to my friends too. I had a really good friend. I mean, this is what good friends are for. My friend Jenny, who called me out one day, and she's like, I noticed that you are self-deprecating a lot and you don't like, I know. And I was like, oh, I'm not serious. Like, it's just a joke. It's really funny. And she's like, but it's not, because you're not this or you're not that. Like, and I remember this is funny, but Lala Kent from Vanderpump Rules, I remember she said something where she looks in the mirror and she literally says, "You are so cute. You are so beautiful." And I was like, no way. That's like so.
Oh, I literally do it all the time.
Me too. I started doing that. I started doing that like this is now 2 years ago. At first I thought this is so stupid and I can't stop doing it. And I love it. And I'm like, this changes everything. I'm like, it changes physically too. Like I realized that after reading some things that negative self-talk, even if you think it's like funny or like self-deprecating, whatever, it raises your cortisol levels. That negative self-talk does. And the second you change it and you stand in front of a mirror and say like, "You're cute. How cute are you?" Or like, "You're so pretty," or "You look great today," or like, "Your hair looks good." That changes your biochemistry in your body too. So it's not like this like woo-woo crazy thing. It has a really positive physical manifestation. So I wanted to chat with you. Like, what are some of the things that I don't know if you'd be willing to share, but
sure.
Is it like a daily practice?
Yeah, I think it's just different every day. I think I love what you said about that though. And I think specifically women do that to themselves way more often. I notice it's just interesting with my husband, the way he talks to himself, he'll look in the mirror and be like, I look good today. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? That's how you're supposed to talk to yourself. And so, I love what you said about looking in the mirror and talking back is that's something I've really adopted is when I do find myself in a really negative self-talk conversation, I will force myself to go into the bathroom, stare at myself in the eyes and just be like, you are, whatever it is, you are gorgeous. You are perfect just the way you are. You know, just constantly just really looking like deep into my eyes and talking back to that, you know, subconscious thought and really just talking back to it and just being like, that's not, you know, that voice isn't real. And you are, you know, you're unique, whatever it is that I need in that moment. I haven't done this in a really long time. I remember maybe more in like maybe a couple of years ago, but I think there's really something powerful in a power pose. So if I was ever like going out to like a big meeting, I would make myself stand in a power pose, kind of like a Wonder Woman pose, hands on hips, large stance, and smile, and hold that for 2 minutes. Which sounds ridiculous because I had read about it, and there is, like you had said, there's a difference cognitively when you do hold a position like that for a certain amount of time. I'm trying to think what else I do. Gosh, I know as simple as again, I know this can be repetitive and cheesy as everyone talks about a gratitude practice, but there is something really grounding for me when if I am in a negative self-talk about my body, really stopping myself, taking a couple breaths and remembering how lucky I am to move my body every day and how hard my body works and that I'm doing the best that I can. And like, let's just appreciate everything that I'm doing and everything that my body does for me and just kind of breathing through that. And that really kind of can get me out of my head as well.
Yeah, I really love that. I need to start that up again. I used to do that too, but I love the recommendations you just gave, the power pose.
Yeah, if you have a big meeting or a date, you know, it's like a little boost of confidence, you know?
It works. And just the way that we talk to ourselves, like you said, most women just, it's not great. And I feel like we need more examples out there and seeing more women talk to themselves in that way. Like you said, when Morgan looks good, I feel like the more we can show each other that we can do that for one another, the more we'll feel more comfortable. Like we need to see it because I didn't grow up seeing it. And my mom was super like self-deprecating too. And that's why I was like, oh, okay, this is just like how it is. And like, you know, she felt uncomfortable. She's gorgeous. My mom is, you know, there's so many positive things about her, but she couldn't accept a compliment. She was like, oh, no.
I know.
And so I just grew up seeing that.
I mean, even things for me that I notice that I still do and I cringe every time is the amount of times I say sorry or I apologize in a day is just insane. So, you know, Morgan will even catch me. He's like, do not say you're sorry one more time. And again, I think it's a female thing, just like, you know, you don't want to be of disturbance to anyone. Totally. And I think taking some of that power back and realizing that you're taking the power away from yourself when you are self-deprecating and you over apologize and you don't stand in your own worth, you know, that removes some of your power.
Yeah, I completely agree. We should rethink that for sure. I think your classes help with that though too, you know. Can we talk about Sculpt Society and just how you started and how you incorporate both dance with a low impact sculpting?
Yeah.
Where were you when you were like, I'm going to start Sculpt Society? And I'm going to start that.
Yeah, so I got into fitness, you know, really when I was trying to just survive in New York City. I was dancing and professionally auditioning. I was working in fashion as a fit model, so I was a live mannequin for designers. And then, you know, I started teaching at a local studio because I thought it would be a great way to stay in shape while I was dancing and just really got into it for, you know, with no intention of making it my career. But I really quickly fell in love with teaching and the women around within the community and just feeling how I could empower them to feel confident in their own skin and really bring in like the learnings I had for so many years been really digging deep and learning about my own self, right? How could I bring that in, that positivity and that body confidence into my own classes? And so I got really into fitness teaching. I took a million classes at other studios, a lot of reformer Pilates and yoga. Really anything you can think of, and just really educating myself about the type of movement that felt good on my own body. And so, 6.5 years into teaching, by this time I had decided to go full in and left, stopped dancing professionally and really wanted to create a space in the boutique fitness world. I as a dance-based fitness instructor felt like there was this massive hole in that space for a couple reasons. I felt like women felt like they needed to work out hours a day. I felt like there was no dance-based fitness method out there that was for everyone at every level, whether you were a beginner or advanced. I felt like most places you had to be super advanced and have a dance background. And even then it would take like a learning curve to get it. And then I just felt like the boutique scene in New York City was just really not welcoming. And I really wanted to create a space for women to come, to connect, and to feel badass. Like I wanted them to leave my class knowing that they got a kick-ass workout, but also feeling just so empowered in their own bodies and their own skin. So that was the hole I saw that was missing, and something I wanted to create and I craved for in my own class. I also wanted to bring in different elements into my dance-based class. I loved reformer Pilates, so I thought this is a perfect opportunity to use sliders. And so just different elements to that really would make, I feel like, the Sculpt Society stand out from other methods that were out there.
I love that it's a full body workout where you're getting your cardio in and you're feeling so happy and so good. Yeah. You're also learning like a cute dance sequence that makes you feel powerful and elated. I don't know. It just makes me feel good. But then I love the sculpting as well because I love reformer Pilates. And my favorite sculpting sequence is like when you're on all fours and you're kind of like doing like the butt work, basically.
Yeah. I mean, what's so great about the on the app, of course, I have a million different classes from 5 to 50 minutes, but the traditional full body class, you're getting so much bang for your buck. Again, like wanting to create a class that was under an hour and that was super effective. So you're getting, your little cardio burst, but then we're going into functional exercises using sliders. So you're getting that like Pilates reformer feeling with your sliders and your legs. We're going into plank work with sliders or not sliders, but again, like really getting into your core, then you're getting into booty, and then we stand back up and we end with this like finale of dance cardio that's just like this massive celebration of our bodies and of that moment and of the beat of the music. And again, just keeping that cardio super simple and repetitive, but so that it's this meditative almost feeling where you're not having to think about what comes next, and you can just make it super big and you can take up space and you can just own it, because there's no better feeling.
I have a question. Do you and Morgan work out together?
I mean, yeah, he's been an OG Sculpt Society member, let me tell you.
I love it. Oh my God.
Actually, he's in a lot of videos on the Sculpt Society app, which has been really fun because the amount of messages I get from my community that are like, my husband finally joined because he saw that Morgan was doing the video with you, and now I'll catch him doing like the Sculpt Society on his own, things like that, which just make me so happy to see, because I do think it can be a very intimidating class for men. But having Morgan there really, I think they see this like, he likes CrossFit hit and just like this non-traditional.
It's a good workout too for men. I love when men come to like Pilates classes too, and they're like, whoa, that was actually a lot harder than I thought it was. And like, that's how the Sculpt Society is too. I feel like a lot of men start doing it, they'd be so surprised how incredible of a workout it is. And it's so fun, I'm sure, to work out with your significant other.
Yes. I mean, I think hip mobility work for men is so important. I think one thing to sort of tie this all together too is when I was really going through my dark phase, I was over exercising. So I also want to just note that, right? I was at the gym over exercising, doing way too much cardio, hating every second of it. And so my real like turning point of not only like doing the work and the inner work and changing my relationship with my food, my body, though, was really when I discovered dance-based fitness and the celebration of my body within movement. So I think the key to how I had that true aha moment was finding a way of moving that really felt this good for me. And that's why I'm just such an advocate for whatever kind of movement, but finding a way for you to move that feels truly fun and inspiring and something that you look forward to, because that is a game changer.
I love that. I love that you said that. There's so many things in there too, like so many gems, like one of which I wanted to ask you, over exercising. How does somebody know if they're over exercising?
I think I think if you're someone that, if you aren't getting your hour workout in 7 days a week and you have you have like that internal freak out moment that if you can't get that workout in, that your day is ruined somehow. I think that's an over exercise, or someone that is again almost addicted to exercise, right? So
Yeah.
at minimum 1 day a week, no exercise. We need a rest day. And so I know a lot of people struggle with that. It can be an active recovery rest day. It can be a walk. You can take a stretch class, but like no working out, right? And I think that for me, I worked out 7 days a week, and I never took a rest day. And I think the rest day is a really big factor for a lot of people who are over exercising, like the thought of not exercising. For an over exerciser is turns is a little bit of a panic moment. So I get a lot of clients that still think they need to be doing an hour of cardio, an hour of sculpt every day to get results. So I will tell you, the moment I took down my cardio and increased my strength and decreased my overall amount of exercising simultaneously while doing the internal work with my dialogue and my approach to food, was when things really changed for me overall physically. And I think that's really important to note. Like, I took down the amount of time I was exercising. I took down the amount of cardio. I changed my inner dialogue, and I changed my approach to food. And that was life-changing.
Yeah, definitely. That is such great advice, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't know that you're right. They have that mentality that I have to be running every single day, no breaks. Like, I have to be doing cardio every single day. And that rest is super important. And then something else you said really sticks out to me, is like one of the most important things is you have to love the workout. It shouldn't be torture. Like,
No.
Your classes are fun and enjoyable. If you're going to the gym, or if you're doing something where you're like, I hate this, when is this over? That's not going to give you results.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You have to,
and you're also not going to stick with it. And let's be honest, like, that's really the secret sauce of fitness and a lifestyle is wanting to do it consistently. And those are the clients that have the most success, are the ones that are consistent with their workout routine. Of course, we all ebb and flow. We all have seasons where it's not as consistent. But if you do truly love the way the workout feels, you're going to just be so much more successful in it.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask something. What is something most people may not know about you?
Every time I talk about maybe more my family, I'm a fraternal twin. I could not be more different than her. She hates exercising, loves camping, and I love health and wellness, and I love the city. She'd rather be out in the wilderness, but we're super close. And that I moved around a lot as a kid. My family's originally from South Africa. I was born in the States, but lived in Orange County until I was 5. Then I lived in Idaho for most of my youth with a stint in Cape Town for a year, back to Idaho. And then I moved to California in high school. So I always say I'm from Santa Barbara, but I'm really not. I moved around a bunch as a kid.
Yeah. Idaho, that's really cool. I feel like a lot of people are also moving to Idaho right now, like Boise.
Oh, really?
Boise's blowing up.
Yeah, I was from this little town, Hayden Lake and Coeur d'Alene, and I lived on a lake. So in the summers we would go down to the dock and have these amazing summers on the lake, and then in the winter we would go skiing. It was a really idyllic childhood, and then rocked up in my Birkenstocks in California and realized I was not cool.
I love it. And I love that you're going to be closer to your sister and your family too soon.
I know. Well, let's hope the timing works. But yes, hopefully we'll be moving to California at some point in 2021.
Yeah, what a crazy year. I feel like a lot of people are making moves, making transitions. I just actually was speaking to, on my last podcast, Annalise Puccini. She was from The Bachelor, and she had moved from San Francisco to Hawaii. And we were just talking about like what people who are moving to new cities can do to, better, adjust. And her advice was just to like do what you love. So, if you love, going to a workout class, although obviously it's so hard right now with lockdown, but like just do what you love and you'll meet your people.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously I'm hoping, but by the time we do move at the end of 2021, that people will be working out again in some capacity in a studio, because, some of my closest friends, if not all of my friends, I have met while teaching the Sculpt Society, which is crazy. And it's just so, I love that. And I think, you see the same people day in and day out in these classes, and to be able to connect with them and create community around that too, again, is really important.
It's so important. And I feel like you've done a good job making it virtual, but I'm also really excited for us to get back to the FaceTime.
I mean, I honestly think, boutique fitness will never go away, but it is certainly going to be one of the last industries that comes back to life, because I think, being in a small room, sweating close to people, that's going to be an adjustment to go back to. And it's going to be really, I don't ever think it's going to go away. I just think digital fitness will continue to grow, and people will slowly go back to it.
Although I feel like there's a lot of people that will probably be eager to get back to the in-person, because like you said, it's that community aspect that people are missing, and it's therapy. Yeah. Like literally, I mean, if you're not going to like an actual therapist, like the Sculpt Society is a lot of people's therapy.
Hey, it's mine.
Yeah, totally. So I can't wait for that. This is amazing. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Megan Roup and at The Sculpt Society. And then my website is thesculptsociety.com. You can get a 2-week free trial there if you are interested in checking out the app.
Yay. So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
So fun.